Hi and welcome to C Programming. In today's lesson or tutorial, we will do the memo of a material calculator question. So let's go through the question and see what's needed from us. Okay, so let's read. A structured C program is required to create a material calculator for a construction company. The material calculator will be divided into two stages. So we will have a stage 1 and a stage 2. Stage 1 will be responsible to calculate the volume of the material. The user will be able to choose between three options. The chosen option of the user must be entered as an integer value, and the value of the three basic tubes found in construction will be considered. We will have a square tube, a rectangle tube, and a round tube. And there's the volume calculations for each. Okay, so the user must provide all the parameters specific to his or her selection in order to successfully calculate the volume of the tube. Okay, a switch structure, important, must be used to determine which selection the user made, 1, 2, or 3, so it's square, rectangle, or round tube. The switch structure must also be used to check for invalid inputs. Okay, and if invalid selection was made, the program must terminate immediately. The volume of the tube must be displayed to the user and stored in the following variable. So we need to create this variable and store the answer inside float answer volume. Then we go to stage 2. Stage 2 will be responsible for the calculation of the actual weight of the tube and also the price of the tube. The user will be able to choose between three different materials with specific densities and weights. So we will consider aluminium, iron, and lead, and an if-else statement must be used to determine if the selection of the user and the chosen option of the user must be entered as an integer value. The if-else statement must also check for invalid entries by checking if the user input is inside the given boundaries. Okay, so the density of the three materials must be defined in an array as shown below. So we will create this array with these three values, and the weight of the tube can then be calculated by the following formula. Weight is equal to volume times density. Thereafter, the price per kilogram of each material must be defined in an array as shown below. So we will have a float price per kilogram array with the values as well for each of the materials, aluminium, iron, and lead. The total price for the tube with specific volume and specific density can then be calculated by using the following formula. We will create this total price is equal to weight times price per kilogram, and the total weight and price of a piece of tube must be displayed to the user and stored inside the following variables. So answer weight and answer price. And then we can have a look at a screenshot. So there's stage 1 and stage 2. First, the user selects either square, rectangle, or round. Then he enters the width and the height and the length. Okay, and the volume of the material is then calculated at stage 2. The weight is then calculated and the total price of that specific material. Okay, so let's jump into the coding and see how we would do this. So first of all, we will create a new empty file and we will save this file onto our desktop as solution. Solution1.c, and I will save this, and I will start by doing my hash includes for my standard input and output libraries, create my main function, and then also do my return 0. Then I will compile and check that the program executes successfully, just to check if everything is good before I continue. Okay, so we will have two stages in our program. So let's do this, stage 1, and I'm going to create another comment, stage 2, so that we know that we do everything. And then I will create a variable. Okay, so here I will create all my variables. Here I will do stage 1 and then stage 2. Okay, so let's go back to our question Okay, so I'm just going to go from here. First of all, what I will do is I will go and create my outputs here. So what I will do is I will say printf, okay, for the first line, okay, and then what we will do is we will print out a long list for this. Okay. Next up, I will go and do another printf, and inside this printf will be welcome to material calculator. Another new line, and I can go and print this line there. Okay, so if I zoom out, okay, there's my welcome to material calculator, and thereafter I will do then a printf statement. Okay, and inside this printf statement I will say stage 1. Okay, and then here I will do another one. Okay, and I just want to do that indentation there. I will quickly go and do this for stage 2 as well. And then thereafter there's another one just to close the program, and that's just a few equal signs again. Okay, and let's go and save this and compile, build and run. Okay, and as you can see, here is my calculator. There's just an extra line there that I need to go and take out, and it's that one there. Okay, let's quickly compile again, and as you can see, welcome to material calculator stage 1, stage 2 and the end. So now here we can then start to do our stage 1 and stage 2. So let's go back to the question at the top. Oops. Okay, first of all, if I zoom quickly out, we need to go and ask the user if he wants a square, a rectangle or a round tube. Okay, then we will use a integer value to determine 1, 2 or 3, and we need to use a switch statement to go and determine 1, 2 or 3. Okay, so let's go. So first of all, we're going to ask the user, okay, and let's look at the output of our program again. First of all, we will ask the user choose shape of material. Okay, new line, printf, then 1 for square tube, new line, printf, rectangle, oops, 2, it's a rectangle tube, and then another printf for 3, and that's a round tube. And then we're going to ask the user for a choice. Okay. So when we ask the user for a choice, and it must be integer, like the question asked, so we need to go and then create a variable called int choice. Okay, so what we will do is we will have a scanf statement, and inside this scanf statement, what we will do is we will ask the user to then input a variable. Okay, and the scanf statement will then enable us to do a choice. Okay, so now the user can make a choice, 1, 2 or 3, and then we can start to go and determine the input. Now, if we quickly go up to our calculations, and this is very, very important. For a square tube, we need a width and a width times a length. Okay, for a rectangle, we need to have a width, height, and length. So there's 3 variables. There's only 2 variables. And then with our round tube, we need a radius and a length. Okay. So, therefore, we need to go and create a few different variables. Okay. And as you can see, these variables are floating values as well. Okay, so 2.2, 3.1. Okay, so that's very important. So we will create a floating values for width, for the height. We will create a length variable and a radius variable. And inside these, we will go and store then the user input. Okay. Then if we go back to our question, we need to go and store the answer inside float answer volume. So let's go and create float, and we will say answer volume. Okay. And then what we will do is, because each 1, 2, and 3 has different inputs, we will then use a switch statement. And then inside the switch statement, we will say switch choice. And what we will do is we will say in case choice is a 1, we will do something. Okay, just want to do the indentation. Then we will say case it's a 2, case it's a 3. And then we need to do default. And default is for the invalid entries. So what we can do here at default quickly is we can say invalid, or let's quickly check what's the output. Wrong input, restart program. So we're going to say wrong input, restart program. And then how do we restart the program? If we go back to our question, we had a clue there, return 0. Okay. And we can just say return 0. Okay. Then we can go and get our input. So we're going to have a printf, and we're going to ask for width. Okay. And we will also ask for length. Okay. And then in the second instance of the rectangle, we will ask for, let's copy and paste, that would be much easier. Okay, we need a width, we need a height, and we need a length. And then in the case of the round tube, we need to have a radius and a length. Great. So we have a width, length, height, length, radius, length. Great. And then we can actually go and use a scanf statement to go and grab those floating values. Okay, I'm first going to just quickly copy that. Okay, so we've got width there, width, and then we have length. Always double check. Okay, so we're going to have a width again, and then a height. Let's double check. Our spelling is this correct, and then a length. Great. Next up, we need to go and grab the radius. radius and the length. Okay, and let's go and check all the variables are correct. Okay, now after we have successfully scanned if all the variables that we need, we can actually go and do the calculation for answer volume. So what we can go and do is, okay, we can say answer volume is equal to the width times the width times the length. Oops, there's a mistake. Length. Oops. Okay, times the length. Okay, so that's our calculation for a square tube. Okay, and then we can continue. Then we can say for a volume for a rectangle, we need to say width times the height times the length. Okay, and then for a round tube, we can then say again, we're going to have radius times the length. Okay, and there is our answer volume for each one of those. And never ever forget your break statements at the end. Okay. And that is what we need to do for our stage 1. So that's how we go and determine our answer volume. Let's quickly just go down. Then after that, we need to go and display the volume of the material is the following. So before we end, we just need to have a printf statement, and we're going to say the volume of the material is percentage F, and then we can say answer volume. Okay, let's quickly save this and we build and run to see if our program is doing what it's supposed to do. So let's use these inputs that's defined here for us. 2, the width 2.2, the height 3.1, and the length is 4, and the volume is then 27.28. So as you can see, it was rounded there. So all that we can go and do is we can say here 0.2, so it's also rounded. Okay, and that's it. That's how we're going to determine the volume of the material. So next up, in stage 2, we need to go and then ask the user for the following. So we will go and then ask what is the price of the material. Okay, new line. And then printf statement, we will ask the user what's the material type. Material type, new line. We'll have another printf statement. And I'm just going to copy paste this. First of all, we have aluminium. Aluminium. Then we've got 2 for iron, new line. Then 3 for lead, new line. And then we ask again for a choice. So we can reuse that choice variable again. And then we can use a scanf, and we're going to reuse that choice variable. So we will say %d ampersand and then choice. Okay, so now we've got our choice, and then the question said we need to go and define a few variables. So the first variables that we need to go and define is this array. So let's go and define this array quickly before we continue these two arrays. And those arrays are, the first one is a float material density array. Okay, and let's quickly add the values. So it's 2700.0. Okay, the next one is 7900.0 and then 11300.0. Okay, and then we need to go and define another variable called float price per kg and we can say then 26.55 for the first one, 9.34 for the next one, and 22.5 for the last one. Okay, and that's the variables that we need, and we also need to go or create float answer weight and float answer price. So let's create them just above here. So float answer weight and float answer price. And if we go down, let's quickly just check in the question, if else statement and integer. So we need to use a if else statement. So what we will do is we will say if, then else, if, and else if. Oh wait, we don't even have to do this. Okay, so I will quickly show you. What we can do is we can just use a if-else statement as the question specified, and what we will do is then the user will choose 1, 2 or 3. So what we will do is we will say if the user entered a 1, 2 and 3, we can actually go and determine by using that arrays which value to use. So I will show you just how we will do this. So I'm going to say if choice is bigger than 0, but not only this condition, so we want to check for 1, 2 and then and our last condition will be if choice is smaller than 4. So we can actually in fact check for 1, 2 and 3. And what we will do is we will actually go and then say, let's take that comments away. I will say the answer weight. So the answer weight. Okay, I'm just going to copy and make sure that everything is the same. I'm going to say the answer weight is equal to the volume. There's our volume, answer volume times the material density. So we're going to times it with the material density. Okay, and which one will we use? And that will be then up to the choice variable. So what we will do is we will say choice there. So the choice variable will specify the index for us. Okay. So now we will check if it's 1, 2 and 3. So 1, 2 and 3 will be either aluminium, iron and lead. But there's one little catch, because 1, 2 and 3 our indexes with an array starts at 0, so we just have to minus 1 there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a bit here. Okay, so that's our answer weight. And then if we can quickly go and then determine our answer price as well, we can say our answer price is equal to our answer weight times our price per kilogram. Okay, and our price per kilogram will be done in the same way, -1 for our index to start at 0. And then we can then just normally go and do a printf statement, and we can say the weight is percent point to f, okay, that's to display the floating value, and kg, new line, and we will insert the answer weight there. And then we can have another printf, printf, and wrong button again. Okay, and we can say the total price is, then R for rand, percentage point to F, new line. Okay, and we're going to display the answer price there. And there we have it. And the else part, if it's not 1, 2, and 3, if it's something else, the question also said we need to check for invalid inputs. So our else part will then be in fact our wrong input, restart program. Okay, exclamation mark, new line, and that's it. There we have it. There's our full complete program to go and do our calculation for stage 2, to go and get the answer weight and the answer price. In stage 1 we calculate the answer volume. So let's build and run and see if our program is actually doing what it's supposed to do. Let's compare it to our example here. So we will say the choice is going to be 2, the width is 2.2, the height, I'm just going to make this bigger, the height is 3.1, and the length is 4, so the volume is then 27.28, price of the material type, we're going to say the material type is again iron, and then the answer is going to be 215,512 kilograms, okay, and the total price is going to be 2,000,000 rand, 12,882 rand plus 13 cents. Okay, so that's quite expensive. Remember, this is like a big block of lead, so that's why it's so expensive. Okay, so it's quite heavy, it's quite large as well. Okay, so that's our calculator, our material calculator. Go through this again if you don't understand how to do this. The question guides us very well, step by step, what to do, what we need to do here. Go and create that certain variables to store the answers for this stage 1 and as well for stage 2. Okay, so thank you for watching and I hope to see you soon.